Have you ever noticed how the people who demand the most from you often give you the least in return? It's strange, isn't it? The ones who take your time, your peace, your energy are rarely the ones who help you grow. And here's the paradox we so often overlook. We suffer most from the people we were never meant to impress, because we forget that peace is worth more than approval. Today, I'd like to talk to you about 5 kinds of requests, 5 demands that should make you quietly step back. 5 signs that someone is pulling you away from your true path of awareness. Because the art of life isn't about cutting people off. It's about protecting the garden of your mind. So take a breath with me. Slow down your thoughts. And let's reflect. The people who ask you to shrink, have you ever had someone look at your dreams and laugh? Not the playful kind of laugh, the kind that says, "Who do you think you are?" Some people want you small, not because you are incapable, but because your growth exposes their stagnation. They ask you, without always using words, to make yourself soft, quiet, invisible, so they can feel taller in comparison. They might say, "Don't aim too high. Don't try that. People will judge you. Stay here, where it's safe." Where we are. But ask yourself, why should you limit your wings to please those who fear the sky? Why must your light dim just because it makes their shadows longer? Freedom begins the moment you realize you do not exist to make others comfortable. When someone constantly urges you to shrink, step away. Your soul was meant to expand. The people who ask you to betray yourself. There are requests that seem small. Just bend the rules a little. Say what they want to hear. Pretend to be someone you're not. But betrayal rarely happens in one dramatic moment. It begins with tiny compromises, harmless at first, until one day you look in the mirror and realize the reflection staring back is a stranger wearing your skin. The ego whispers, "You must do this to survive, to belong, to be loved." But here is the truth. Any love that requires you to abandon your authenticity is not love. It is a transaction. So if someone asks you to lie about who you are, to bury your values, to silence your inner voice, walk away gently and whisper to yourself, "I'd rather be rejected for my truth than welcomed for my imitation." The people who ask you to carry what they refuse to heal. Some people don't want support. They want a substitute for self-awareness. They demand your time every time they hurt. They ask for your energy every time they fall. But they do not try to grow. They do not try to change. They simply want you to absorb the consequences of their wounds. And you, with your kind heart, you give and you give until your compassion becomes exhaustion. Remember, you can hold someone's hand, but you cannot walk their path for them. There is no shame in saying, "I care for you deeply, but I cannot sacrifice myself to keep you comfortable in your pain." Some people ask you to carry their suffering because they have forgotten their own strength. Do not forget yours. The people who ask for control over your serenity. Oh, how subtle this one is. They question your choices. Your boundaries offend them. Your happiness confuses them. They want a say in how you dress, think, dream, love, or live. They want to mold you into the version that benefits them most. Control often disguises itself as concern, tradition, or just trying to help, but inside that pressure lies a quiet claim. Your life belongs to me. Ask yourself, who truly owns your existence? Every time you hand someone the power to dictate your joy, a piece of your spirit withers. You do not owe your life to anyone's expectations. Your peace is sacred, and anyone who asks to reshape your world to match their comfort should not be allowed inside your universe. The people who ask you to promise what they never intend to honor. Some people love what you do for them, doubt not who you are. They ask for loyalty while offering only convenience. They ask for commitment while giving only conditions. They ask you to stay, even when they would leave without hesitation. And here's the heartbreaking truth. Not everyone who says, "I need you," is willing to be needed in return. There are those who want your devotion, because your presence fuels their ego. But once their hunger is satisfied, they disappear into the night, leaving you starving for reciprocity. When someone asks you for a promise, their heart has no intention of keeping. Let them go, not in anger, but in clarity, the silent realization. So what do all these people have in common? They don't ask for money. They don't ask for gifts. They ask for something far more precious: your identity, your energy, your inner world. And if you give it away blindly, you slowly forget the deepest truth. You were born whole. You were born worthy. You were born enough. The universe didn't place you here to bend yourself into pleasing shapes. It placed you here to be, to grow, to awaken, to shine. When someone asks for those pieces of you, remember, protect the temple of your spirit with gentle but unbreakable love. It's a curious thing, isn't it? We humans often stay where we suffer because the pain is familiar. We call it loyalty. We call it love. But beneath it all lies fear, the fear of being alone with ourselves. So we keep the wrong people close, because we'd rather endure the noise of others than face the silence of our own mind. Yet it is only in that silence that the truth of who we are begins to whisper back. Thus trap of the ego. When someone demands pieces of your peace, it is not just their hunger at work, it is your ego's need to be needed. The ego loves to be the savior, the one who rescues, who heals, who gives endlessly. Because as long as you are giving, you don't have to look too closely at your own emptiness. It's a strange exchange, isn't it? We feed the illusion of importance while starving the soul of peace. Alan Watts once said, "You are under no obligation to be the same person you were 5 minutes ago." And yet, we act as though our worth depends on keeping everyone else satisfied. But what if worth has nothing to do with usefulness? What if love isn't something we earn, but something we remember? You see, the ego says, "I am because you need me." The soul says, "I am, even if no one needs me at all." And in that moment of realization, a strange calm takes over. You stop trying to prove your place in other people's stories and begin living your own. The illusion of control. Look around. The entire world runs on control. Governments, relationships, even religions, all promise peace through order. Do this, follow that, think this way, obey those rules, and maybe you'll finally be happy. But the more we chase control, the more chaotic life becomes, because control is the opposite of flow. Have you ever tried to hold water in your fist? The tighter you squeeze, the faster it escapes. That's what we do with life. We cling to it, fearing loss, fearing change, and in that clinging, we lose what could have simply flowed through us. When someone tries to control you, they are afraid of losing their sense of order. But when you try to control life, you are afraid of meeting your own soul. Because to truly live is to trust, to surrender to the mystery, to accept that you cannot predict what the next wave brings, but you can learn to float. As Watts said, you can't have a life. You are life. So what are you really trying to control? A river cannot own its flow. The mirror of relationships. Every person you meet is a mirror, reflecting some forgotten corner of your consciousness. Those who ask too much of you, they are teachers too, though their lessons often come wrapped in discomfort. They show you where your boundaries are weak. They reveal the parts of you still desperate for validation. They remind you of where you give too easily, where you seek to be seen. And so, in a way, they are not the enemy. They are the mirror. And mirrors, though they may sting, are sacred. Because once you learn to see them as reflections, you stop blaming them. You stop hating them. You simply bow, not to them, but to the lesson. Then you walk away with gratitude, knowing that even pain served its purpose. The peace beyond approval. Why do we crave approval so deeply? Why do we fear rejection like death itself? Because the ego believes that to be unseen is to be unworthy. It measures existence through attention, but attention is temporary. Awareness is eternal. The tree outside your window grows without applause. The stars do not need witnesses to shine, and yet they exist in perfect grace. Maybe peace begins the moment you realize you can be complete in silence. When you stop trying to prove yourself, life starts to unfold without resistance. You laugh more freely, you speak more gently, you stop taking offense at shadows, you no longer ask, "Do they like me?" You ask, "Am I living truthfully?" And that shift, from external validation to inner peace, changes everything. The return to stillness. You see, the universe has a rhythm, a pulse that hums beneath all this noise, but you can only hear it when you stop running. Sit quietly for a moment. Feel your breath, not as an act of effort, but as an act of existence. You're not breathing life in. Life is breathing you. When you realize that, the walls between you and everything else begin to dissolve. You stop seeing the world as a collection of separate things and start sensing it as one great movement, a cosmic dance in which you are both the dancer and the dance. Then it becomes clear why certain people fall away. They were never separate from you. They were currents in the same ocean. Their coming and going is not a loss, but a tide. What was meant to stay will stay effortlessly. What was meant to leave will drift away, carrying its own lesson with it. And you remain. Not as a person clinging to control, but as awareness itself, limitless, vast, eternal. The final realization. So when someone asks you for more than you can give, when they ask you to shrink, to betray, to carry, to obey, to promise, pause. Look not at them, but at the energy within you that feels compelled to comply. Ask yourself, what am I afraid of losing if I say no? Because in that question lies freedom, not from others, but from yourself. Once you no longer trade your peace for belonging, no one can manipulate you again. You will see the illusion for what it is, a theater of minds all pretending to be separate, all yearning to return home, and then you'll laugh, a soft, knowing laugh, the kind Alan Watts used to describe as cosmic giggling. Because you'll see the joke. You were never bound. You were never lacking. You were never alone. You are the sky pretending to be a single cloud. You are the ocean exploring itself as a wave. You are the universe, watching its own reflection in human eyes. So stay away from those who ask you to. Forget that truth. Not out of anger, not out of judgment, but out of reverence for what you are. The highest act of love is not giving yourself away. It is returning to yourself. So, completely that your very presence reminds others of their own infinite nature. And in that quiet knowing, you will finally understand. There was never anyone to avoid. There was only life teaching you through every encounter how to come home to yourself again. Soft pause. Take a deep breath. Let go of the need to be understood. Let go of the need to be right. Let go of the stories others wrote for you. And just for a moment, feel the infinite stillness beneath your thoughts. That is who you truly are.